Hello and welcome to the latest Dragon Difference podcast. My name is Mark Snyder. I'm the Lake Orion Community Schools Director of Communications and Marketing, and I'm here today with Superintendent Heidi Mercer and Scripps Media Specialist Rebecca Lowe and Oakview Media Specialist Kat Montei. We're going to just kind of go through today because we've got some award winners here and everything, and we wanted to kind of touch base with Becky and Kat and all the great things you're doing for our students in the media space. Obviously, both of you now have been named the Librarian of the Year for the state. Becky in the past and Kat this year. Can you guys talk about the idea of reaching across the state and what's going on in the media landscape right now that you guys have been kind of innovative with?
Well, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, you guys are the Librarians of the Year, so it shows you're on the trend-setting edge of what's happening within media specialists across the state. What are the things that you've done to try to kind of push things forward and not just be someone who's stacking books, et cetera, in the library?
Well, I think a big part of it is getting the students involved. We've done a lot with creating like junior librarian committees where we've got students choosing their favorite books to showcase, helping us buy books, being involved in things like the makerspace. Just trying to get the students involved in this process as much as possible and trying to showcase all of our resources, not just our books, but our digital collections, our makerspace collections, all the different tools that we have available.
And on the broader level across the state, I think we are working with media specialists everywhere just to talk about supporting libraries, especially in times like this where there are a lot of book challenges around. And people just questioning what librarians are doing across the state. And so working with our colleagues across the whole state, just supporting each other and sharing the resources that we have, the things that have worked well in our districts, working with teachers specifically, working with students. It's a great camaraderie that we share, and we have such knowledge. It's great to share across the whole state.
Heidi, the media specialists are so important to our district and reaching out to our students. That's really been a big commitment of the district in the last 10 years or so. Can you kind of address how important they are to what our students learn in every day?
Yes, actually, a few, I don't know how many years ago, but several years ago, when we were going through tough budget times, this is an area that kind of came to light. The media centers and the media specialists, and there was a point in time where we had to do some restructuring that lasted for a short period of time because to me, the media center and the media specialists are an integral part of what we offer to our students. So at that point, we created this vision together that the media centers throughout our district, every single building, the media center would become a hub in that particular building, a buzz where students wanted to be for various reasons. And so working with all of the media specialists, that is what has been created. And today I can honestly say there are kids in the media center at all times of the day doing various activities. It's also not a program that is just books and reading. That's another thing that we took a look at a few years ago is we wanted to make sure that the programming was continuing to evolve. And the media specialists throughout our district have taken that to a whole new level of the involvement that they have had throughout the district and in their buildings, for anywhere from activities with students to teaching with teachers. It's just, the list is unbelievable, honestly.
Kat, can you talk a little bit about you guys have had these lunchtime things where students are coming in. It's not a class necessarily, but students are able to come into and be in your space during their lunchtime for a number of reasons. Can you kind of talk about that idea?
Sure, yeah. Becky and I both do that, and Kevin does as well. We love having kids in the media center. So at lunchtime, some of us are a little more strict than others, depending on floor space and carpets and things. But we love having the kids come in. Today I was putting a puzzle together with sixth grade. There were two people playing chess. They'd had a game running for the last week or so that they're working on. We've always got sticker mosaics. We've got cardboard, put together, cut out things. I always have kids who are constantly asking, when are we doing Legos again? It's just a safe space for them to come and hang out. I like to say to those kiddos who just want that quiet space away from the cafeteria, that they can come in, use our new spaces that we have. Our breakout rooms are a great kind of little bit quieter space where they can do just a little, hey, I need some time to myself to read, to gather myself after the craziness of the, beginning of the day. But it's a place where people love to gather. And I know Becky is too, but we're always in there playing the games with them and coloring with them. And doing the puzzles with them. So it's a fun space.
Well, and if I can interject too, we work with the public library, and once a month our public librarian comes in and does what she calls a lit lunch. And so she comes with activities for the kids that they can sign up to participate in as well. So we've got lots of different programming that's happening. I know Kat and I are starting audiobook Mondays, so the kids can come in and listen to an audiobook. And we've just got different things going on every day. And every month is a different makerspace theme during lunches. Right now we've both got the book fair going on.
And that led to the junior librarian thing that's recently started, right, with you?
Well, the junior librarian committee for me is a little different than the others. I run it through student council, so we mostly meet during STAR, not lunch. But I know we both do guest librarians too, that they pick their favorite books and display what they're interested in so that other students can come down and pick out some recommendations.
That whole idea that you guys have this job and the students want to do your job, I mean, that's a reflection, obviously, for us, on what you guys do, and it shows that the impact you're having on them. But from your perspective, is that kind of heartening that they see what you do and they want to do that?
Oh, it's the best thing ever when they're like, Miss Montei, what kind of librarian should I be when I grow up?
Sure.
They want to know and want to hear all the information. It just shows that we've created an inviting space for them to be. At that safe place, the place where they can kind of be themselves and sometimes, go outside of the box a little bit where, their classrooms are a little bit more structured. And it's just a spot where they can kind of, especially with the new pieces that we're doing where they're kind of featuring themselves as library leaders and sharing the books that they've recommended, it allows them to take that leadership role, which is pretty amazing. They do a great job with it.
As the media centers, and they've embraced all of this, Heidi, can you talk about kind of the idea of the bond work and trying to make the spaces expand beyond the traditional libraries and trying to make them fit them?
Sure. Within the vision was, as I had mentioned before, was to continue to evolve the programming and have the media centers be the central hub of the building. And with that, the media specialists, have done that, which then came, right, now we need to kind of reconfigure our space because this place is busy. And we need space where students can build things, can be a little bit messy. And so that's where, with the passing of our 2018 bond, we've been able to remodel all of the media centers across the district so that there's flexible seating within each of the media centers. There's also what we call breakout spaces, whereas Kat was saying, small groups of students or even a single student can go for a little extra quiet space. In addition, there's also what we call a maker space that is attached to each of the media centers, where that's where things can get really messy. So really, we've had the opportunity to, along with the programming, recreate the environment as well.
And going along with that, my building is doing a career fair. I've been collaborating with an English teacher, ELA teacher, this Friday. And so every single one of the breakout spaces, every single corner of the media center, the maker lab, the cafeteria, all of the teachers' classrooms, like all of those separate spaces are different stations that the students are going to rotate through. And when we do things like our STEM days and stuff, we're using all those different spaces to make different contained spaces that these students can rotate through stations. So that's really cool to have those separate spaces.
I just got a couple of great photos from kids in STAR who were sending me pictures through the email saying, Miss Montei, look at what we're doing with our book creations. They were creating little book characters with paper towel holders, and they were cutting paper, gluing stickers, scissors, yarn to make these kind of book characters or these costume characters in the makerspace, which was pretty awesome. It got to be a giant mess, but it was such a cool thing for STAR and for that bonding for the STAR class and the STAR teachers to be able to do in that space, which needed to be kind of outside of the media center space if it was going to be kind of set up for a couple of days. So that was one time that we used the makerspace in the last week or so.
With the bond and the renovations to the media centers, there's a little pain involved on your end because you're not able to be in your space either in the summer or in some of the time. I mean, I know in Scripps there was a lot of furniture overhaul, and this whole summer, this last summer in Oakview, you really didn't have very much access at all. Can you kind of talk about the idea of understanding the larger picture and that was worth a little bit of discomfort for the larger good?
Well, when walking back into the media center and having like 4 kids helping me put books back, my mom, my daughter, a couple of other teachers trying to put the space back together, it was like, oh my gosh, what did we get ourselves into? But just, taking that look of what the space was and what it used to be, it's just not anymore. It's not a place where kids just walk in, quietly check out a book and leave. It's a space where they're there working constantly with groups, with individuals, with their teachers, at lunch, having snacks, building things. And so to kind of see those spaces come together in like a new, bright, fresh way with that movable furniture, it's been amazing to just kind of like roll things out of the way, stack things differently so that, we can set big, giant posters up that are 6 foot by 4 foot so that classes can do cool projects. So it's been a really nice kind of revamp of not just the space, but allowing us to kind of revamp the way we use the media center too.
And what was amazing is how involved we were allowed to be in the entire process. I've heard horror stories from across the state of people who were doing renovations and weren't consulted at all about what their space needed to look like, and libraries where when they were done, they didn't think, nobody thought that they needed a book checkout bin or like a book return bin. And we were involved in the whole process. Heidi did a great job of making sure that we got to meet with all of the people involved in the process, that we got to talk about the furniture that worked in our space, what we needed for our space. So it really ended up being a space that worked for what we wanted to do.
And she listened. She listened to things that were like, hey, this didn't work in Becky's space. How can we redo it at Oakview and Walden? And we were able to redo some of those things, which was, has worked so much better, especially with we're talking the circulation desk, which, only a media specialist or librarian knows how that space is used. So to take that feedback and make sure that we got what we needed was really nice.
So Heidi, on the larger issue of bond, this is kind of something you've been very intentional about, is including the people who are in those spaces and live in those spaces, not claiming that you're the expert on all of these things. How much does that collaboration work as it's felt? I know this is kind of a larger discussion, but especially with them, what was the intentionality about that?
Yeah, I feel that the collaboration and having the experts of whatever area we're designing is really critical. They are the experts. They know that space inside and out. They know what will work and what will not work. So it is, to me, it's essential. Making mistakes costs money. And so, not wanting to do that, we need to have the experts at the table. And the creative ideas, they know what they want to be able to do in that space. And so it's critical. They need to be at the table for sure.
On our podcast, we've talked quite a bit about people's origin stories and kind of how they come to education or come to this place. For both of you, I guess you can each take a turn. Where did education start in your life in terms of your interest in it, not just the fact that you showed up on kindergarten, and kind of how did that evolve through the years? Were you always committed to this as a focus?
Well, I come from a family of educators. My great-grandmother taught in a one-room schoolhouse. My grandmother was a school secretary, and both my parents are teachers. But growing up, the reason I knew I wanted to be a teacher is because my mom would drive us to school, and I would sit in the back seat, and I would read books out loud to my siblings. I'm the oldest of 4. And I had so much fun reading these books out loud to them and then having them come back and tell me the parts of the book that excited them, because it was so often things that I hadn't noticed or that hadn't resonated with me. So hearing their perspectives just got me really excited about the books. So like I said, I come from this family of educators. And one thing that's really cool is I have my great-grandmother's original paper teaching certificate.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, that's a really cool memento for my family.
I came from a teaching family also. My mom's a teacher, 6 aunts, 12 cousins, everybody was a teacher. So I went the other way. I absolutely wasn't going to be a teacher. I was going to do something different, right? I had to rebel a little bit. But in the end, in the middle of, college, it was like, do I really want to do this where I'm going to be, in a cubicle all day, not talking to people, not working with people? And it was really that idea of hey, I like to be around people and, work with kids and work with just other people. Maybe I should do this teaching thing. And the library came natural because my mom was a public librarian and a school librarian in her time frame. So it was like, well, I know this. I could do this. and I can do it better than my mom, right? Like it was always that competitive piece. And I've loved the library. I worked at the library at U of M for 4 years when I went to school there. And it was just, when I started thinking about my grad degree, it was like, I really like teaching. And this is a combination of teaching and library and books and reading that I love. So it was just a natural fit after that.
This is such a unique job that you guys have. In a lot of our district, we have teachers who are in a structured situation. They have a curriculum, they have to follow it, they have to keep moving, and they stay in their classroom or whatever. Heidi, can you talk about the idea of the role of the media specialist and I guess the freedom that they have to make the job into what they can make it?
I think that is really an important piece, and something that we have talked about over the years is to be as creative as you can possibly be. And as both had mentioned, it's taking the interests of the students and surrounding, creating the programming from that. I think is really key, and the sky is the limit. And that's where I think our students enjoy that piece of seeing all of the different activities in the media center, because it is very different than sometimes the classrooms that they are in. And so it's really that freedom of, go ahead and create and interact with students and have it be just again, making sure that it is a space that when people walk by, and students walk by, that was another thing. We made sure we got as many windows as we could possibly get into the space, because we wanted people passing by to say, wow, what is going on in there? And I need to check that out. And so that has been the goal, and they've done an amazing job at that.
We do get to be the fun place.
Yes.
Like that.
Okay.
That's the best thing. Like, you have your favorite subject, right? Someone might absolutely love ELA or love social studies or love science, but everybody loves to come to the media center. And as long as we've pushed the fact that it's not about quietly sitting down
Sure.
and reading a book, it's what do you want to do? Let's do that. For my first couple of years at Oakview, I had kids who were super into green screen and using the little figures to create videos and design stuff like that. So we did a ton with that. This year, they're already planning how to decorate the media center for all the holidays we have coming up in December, and they're gonna cut apart things and glue things together and hang things up, and it's just helping the kids do what they're interested in, which gets them excited to come to the media center and be here.
And that flexibility of schedule is so important because, tomorrow I'm doing robots with DSET. The next day I'm doing the career fair. The day after that I'm doing an escape room with a different class. The fact that we have that flexibility in our schedule of which teachers we get to work with so that we can work with everybody and do these fun projects and schedule them just is so, so important because of that freedom of that schedule so that we can work with everybody.
Kat talked about not being in the cubicle. Is that one of the things about this job that you guys like the most, is that every day is different?
Oh, definitely. And we have the freedom to create new things. There's just so much room for us to build things and, try new things.
Yeah, we're not stuck in a line, in a box, in anything. We can do what the kids are interested in, what we're excited about. And that's the one thing I think is awesome, is that what we're excited about and what we show our enthusiasm for, the kids dive in and they're just as excited. And it's pretty awesome to see them come together and put some great things together.
I think another important piece too that you had mentioned is providing teacher support. There's a lot of times, and I was a teacher and recall that there a lot of great ideas, but to try to create that idea, like you said, an escape room, it takes hours, and teachers have many classes that they're preparing for. So some of those ideas that are great ideas, you just, as a teacher, don't have time for them all. Well, that's another area where media specialists provide that support and can make it happen.
Well, and we have the time to start researching some of these things that teachers need to know about and need to know how to respond to, like artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. We're the ones who have the time to do the research and find the resources and be on the cutting edge of that, and then reach out to our teachers and say, hey, I have all these resources. Can I teach a lesson on AI to your students? Can I sit down with you and show you some tools that you can use?
Yeah, the risk-taking aspect is really a unique part, and you have to, I guess, have a little bit of a personality for that too. But you've both found ways to do that, with 3D printing and, like you said, AI and different technologies. How much are you able to embrace those technologies and kind of work them into the curriculum? Do you experiment yourself a lot, like on your own time, before you bring it to the students? Can you kind of walk us through some of that?
We're getting the laser cutter from Oakland schools again this year, and Becky
Mhm.
is also. And man, the first time I got that, I was like, I know this could be an amazing thing. We can design things in Tinkercad. They can actually 3D, cut them out and have these amazing pieces of art. And but it's like, okay, that means I have to figure out how it works first.
Sure.
And it does take, I think, a little bit of like, okay, I'm going to try it and I'm probably going to fail 3 times, but then I'm going to, then I'm going to succeed and I'm going to get kids in here and they're going to start trying with me. And I think that's one of the best things is when the kids can be in there trying those things with you and see you fail at like, well, the laser cutter did not cut all the way through the acrylic this time. What can we do to troubleshoot and kind of seeing those real life problems that they can then help try to resolve, which is amazing. And kind of having their help with that, it's really cool to see them see us fail and know that that's okay, and then we just kind of succeed together too.
That's great. Who kind of led you guys to this? I mean, everyone has some type of mentor or some type of guidance or something. Did you have someone in your educational career or your life who kind of got you to this point?
Well, I was very fortunate because my first year at Scripps, when position that I was in was no longer going to be available, I didn't know about the library. That wasn't actually part of my educational uh, goals that I thought I could be a librarian. And my principal at the time reached out and told me that I needed to apply for the library job. And I said, oh, but I'm not certified. I have all these other degrees, but I don't have that one. And he said, you can get the degree, apply for the job. And so that's what led me into being in the library, where I immediately fell in love. And my principal, that was Dr. Haas, did an amazing job of really mentoring me and pushing me and, helping me as I learned as a new teacher, because new teachers have a lot to learn. And then beyond that, the department head when I first started, Melissa Middleton, was really wonderful about hooking us up with things and saying, you need to do this, you need to look in this direction. She was the one that had us go to our first MAISL, which was MAME at the time, which is our state organization, our first conference. And then when she started moving in different directions, she approached me and said, hey, I'm stepping down as region rep. I think you should do it. And so she really got us involved in our state organization and kind of hooked us up with all of these different resources. She's the one I think that originally got us hooked up with a lot of the resources from Oakland schools, like the laser cutter, which we're borrowing all this technology from them. So we get a chance to try it out before we discover what really works for us and what we need to look at getting for ourselves.
Melissa was a great influence for me also. She was definitely the person who kind of pushed me to try new things, which was amazing. And she was an amazing department head. Like she took that department head role and just ran with it. She knew what she needed to do. She knew how to encourage people and get us to, kind of step outside the boxes that we were comfortable in. So yeah, she's been pretty awesome. We definitely miss her, but we've got somebody great in the position now too. And then my mom was also kind of that key person when I started at Dondero High School as an English and social studies teacher. I was so overwhelmed my first year being in 2 departments, teaching 5 different classes, completely different. And I didn't have that support from the librarian, and I knew my mom was that support in at home where I was. And I was like, well, why don't we have someone like that? Why isn't there that media specialist there to help me? And that was just like, well, I'm going to go to grad school and become a librarian so I can do this for schools and for teachers. And I think that's like a huge part that many teachers and many people across the state don't have. We are so lucky to have media specialists who in every building who are certified. And like we had an ELA teacher who just who's relatively new in my building, and he was like, I didn't understand what you did the first year. He's like, but this year, he's like, I figured it out. He's like, you're helping me with like 6 lessons over the course of the next 3 weeks. He's like, I don't know how I'd live without you, kind of thing.
That's great.
And so many teachers and buildings and districts across the state don't have people in the libraries or don't even have libraries. And like we have been so lucky at Lake Orion to kind of have that support from Heidi over all these years to like keep us here and keep believing in what we do and how we support kids and how we support teachers. We've been really lucky.
Yeah, Heidi won an award at the state level from our state organization for library support.
Yes, which she
So-
deserved 100%.
Well, and that's why our district becomes a trendsetter because everyone's committed to it. I guess you guys obviously their collaboration is very clear, along with Kevin Cast, who's the Walden Middle School media specialist. But what about the other levels? You talked about high school and you talked about the elementary a little bit, but there seems to be some unity and some sharing that goes on up and down between. You guys are kind of in the middle, obviously.
Yeah, I think we have a good perspective being in the middle, right? Like it's nice to kind of know where they're coming from, where kids are coming from, and kind of where they're going. Kathy Srock at the high school is doing an awesome job diving in. She's kind of we all call ourselves in a little bit islands, right? Islands in our building. There's not another one of us, so we really lean on each other. She's definitely an island. There's not another one of her, but we Becky and I have tried to support her quite a bit as she's dove into this very large job, big shoes to fill from Melissa Middleton. And then at the elementary level, I know they're collaborating. They have a lot less time, a lot less freedom working with specific classes on a schedule every week. But just at our library conference, we were there with one of our elementary librarians who said that, they do reach out to each other on a really regular basis, sharing what they're doing, supporting what they're doing, and trying to make each building better.
Just finally, as we conclude here, do you guys have any funny stories you want to share? Maybe you deal with middle school kids. There's always humor coming out of those classes. I know they got opinions.
Some of them aren't necessarily school appropriate.
Yeah.
They're middle schoolers.
Appropriate,
Oh my goodness. I don't really have necessarily a funny one, but one that just always just makes me think I'm doing what I'm doing for a reason is the one kiddo who came to me in 8th grade last year and said, "Miss Montei, I'm gonna really miss you at this, in the media center. Can I come back? Can I come back on Wednesdays? Don't we have late start? Can I catch the bus so I can come see you? Because I need to keep practicing being a librarian because that's what I'm going to do someday."
That's amazing.
And that was pretty cool.
My funny story is that every year, come spring, I make music videos, like parody videos, to try to convince the kids to turn in their library books before the end of the school year. And one year at the beginning of the school year, whenever we do incoming 6th grade orientation, so these are current 5th graders that are coming to tour the building, one of the little 5th graders looks at me and goes, "Are you the librarian who does the music videos?" And I said, "How do you know about those? You're in 5th grade. You're not in middle school." And they said that their older sibling had somehow gotten the videos, because I put them on YouTube and then sent them to Dragon Dateline. And their middle school sibling had gone home and shown the video to their sibling. And so this 5th grader was like, "I already know who you are."
She's famous.
And then I have a high schooler that keeps coming back and saying, "What's the song for this year?" And I'm going, I don't know what the song is. It's September,
Right.
But this kid bugged me every month until the end of the school year. This was a high schooler kid who just really wanted to know what music video I was going to do this year. And I was like, wow,
That's great.
I guess I'm a celebrity.
Right. That's awesome. Just to wrap up here, Heidi, can you, once again share how important the value of media specialists and having people like this who are committed to the job? They don't just do the job, they live the job.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's hard to put in words, honestly. It's, a few years ago, we had this vision and we had talked about it, and, it has exceeded really my expectations. I really just wanted a hub within the building that was just, buzzing with excitement and kids being busy and interacting with one another and sharing with adults as well. And the things that our media specialists have done across the district have absolutely been amazing. And I get to see that every month. Of course, I visit the buildings, but they send me, all of the things that they've done within each month and pictures, and it just, I look forward to that, and I see all the things that they're doing, and it just warms my heart. It's awesome. It really is, and I give all the kudos to the media specialists for just being open-minded and just making their space, extremely active.
Well, thank you very much, Becky and Kat, for being here with us. And we'll have another Dragon Difference podcast coming up soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.